Okay, so I'm in the car, I'm driving. Don't worry, I'm such a good driver. Basically, I've decided to just go somewhere because in my last video I was like, should I just go on a road trip? And then I thought about it for a day and I was like, yes, I should. And I was gonna go literally the next day, but I decided to be a little less impulsive. Anyways, we got Charles in the back. We're going to Bodega Bay or like Point Reyes, that area. Traffic looks not bad. I'm super happy. I was supposed to go a little bit earlier today, but it's okay. It's 10 right now. And I think it's gonna be a fun day. So I wanted to share some of my paranormal stories because I have a lot of them. I'm considered a psychic medium, spiritual advisor, witch, lots of things. I just like the term psychic because it sounds cooler. I'll share some of those stories and then maybe I'll put it over the footage that I'm going to take today from my trip. Okay, traffic is getting a little more heavy, so I'm gonna go so I'm safe. Goodbye. Alright, let's do this all in one take, baby. I really hope that I can do this. I've tried like 5 times and I feel as though I could have just edited this in the amount of time that it's taken to do these voiceovers over and over again. But I really just am bad at editing things and it takes too much of my energy. So I'm going to try to condense this story. I'm going to try to not go on tangents, but my stories are not linear in my head. There's so much backstory to everything. So let's just get through it. I consider myself a psychic medium. I help lots of people on their spiritual journeys. I help awaken a lot of people. I help people connect with their spiritual ancestors, guides. I help people just connect with their lost loved ones and also ward themselves off of negative energy, which is kind of where the story gets crazy. It involves that, and it was my first time doing something in that realm of protecting another person with negative energies. I've helped people remotely, just giving them things to do on their own, but the story involves the energy gaining an attachment to myself, so I had to do more of a hands-on approach, unfortunately. So to preface, I started getting some extra attention on Snapchat, other social media outlets, because I began sharing parts of myself I had never shared before and gaining attention for my looks, which is new to me. I used to be bullied and called a weirdo throughout middle school, elementary school, even in high school a bit, and then I was homeschooled, thankfully. So this male attention has been a weird ego confidence boost that I do not need, and went straight to my head. So this correlates to my story, I promise. So that started happening, and I got I was on my high horse, I'm not gonna lie, I still am sometimes. And I realized, I can have any dude that I want. Obviously, not if they have a girlfriend, but pretty much I can have any guy I want, because I'm kind of a rare Pokemon card right now, for whatever reason. They like the confidence that I exude, even though deep down I don't have any. But I was telling myself I could get any guy that I wanted, that I've ever wanted, which is a dangerous game to play, because as a female, the chances are it's true, and I feel like that part, just once it got unlocked, I just got too powerful. And so I went after this guy that I had a crush on since 7th grade. He did swipe up on my story just to call me pretty. Well, not even that. He just said Merry Christmas. But to be fair, it was on a picture of my chest. So he swiped up when I was promoting some stuff, and he said Merry Christmas, and I said, oh, thank you. And then I got a little bit creepy, and I was like, I've always kind of had a crush on you. I pulled that move. And he was like, oh, really? Making me blush. And I said, yep, not gonna lie, you could get it. Like, I was very bold in that moment. That boldness hardly ever comes out, but it really came out. He was my rare Pokemon card. So I let him know that he could get it if he would like to get it anytime, any place, And he asked when we could arrange a meetup. So I eventually went to his place, and we were just hanging out, vibing mostly. We didn't even necessarily go all the way. I mostly just gave him head, and then that was it, and he didn't really do anything for me. I'm not salty about it. I understand. We were just talking, but I was a bit of a letdown. I can't lie one bit. Also, he was a few inches shorter than me in real life, which was disappointing to say the least. And that's not his fault. I feel bad for short dudes. I'm just a big bitch. I big girl. I'm trying not to swear, but I was a big girl, so I am a big girl. It's difficult. I hadn't seen him since I was a child, so that was a shocker. It kind of made him get knocked down a peg in my mind, which was probably a good experience. It was rewarding to see that he was not all that. That sounds horrible, but there's a reason I'm saying all this. So, whatever. I did the deed, helped him get his nut, did not get mine. And then we were just hanging out. We were talking for maybe, I want to say from 11 p.m. till like 6 a.m. We were talking for a very long time. And just talking about anything ever in the whole world, our struggles, what we want to do with our careers. We kind of are interested in the same industry, so we were just talking about that. And then I don't know how, but the subject of my spirituality got brought up, and he's someone who is very spiritually closed off. He's an atheist, which is fine. I have so many atheist friends. I myself was considered an atheist, considered myself one for about 16 years. So, no judgment there, and that did not affect anything. But he is an atheist, so I had just felt some negative energy the entire time I had been there. I just didn't want to scare him or say anything or push my spirituality on him, because in the past I've had that happen to me, and it's just not fun. So I didn't want to do that to him, right? But I did let it be known that I felt some weird energy there, just from my intuition, gut reactions, just some senses that I had. It felt off. I felt darkness and depression, and I didn't know if that was just how he was feeling, but I felt as though it was something more than that, and it was some type of attachment. So I let that be known, and I prefaced that I didn't want to stress him out, and if he didn't want to know more, then I wouldn't tell him more. But then he divulged that when he was a child, he was underneath a bed or a crib, and something was pulling him under and fighting and trying to keep him down there. And his mom had to literally wrestle him out from under there and eventually pull him out and free him from whatever was keeping him down. Wrestling for him as a baby, I guess. And then he came out, and there was just a giant scratch mark on him, and he has a scar to this day. So he told me that, and I was kind of taken aback. I was afraid, but trying to also make light of the situation. So I said, oh my gosh, wish you would have told me before I came over. And then he got a little nervous, because I think he had just tried to put it out of his head and convince him it was nothing, and just his family being imaginative. And I was telling him, no, this is very real. And it was also big for him to explain that story to me and kind of come to terms with it to a certain extent. And then he asked me to tell him more, to give him any more information he had. And I didn't really want to, but I felt obligated to. I felt like that's what I was sent there for. I know that might be stupid, sound silly, but it might sound super hippy-dippy, and I get it, but I felt as though I was supposed to meet him and reconnect just so I could help him free himself, or do my best, because that's just one of my callings, I believe, to help people rid themselves of negative energies in their life. And that might sound very God complex, but it does help a lot of people, and it is fulfilling. But I digress. I told him that I felt 3 attachments, actually, instead of just one, and I told him that it had been following him since when he was a baby. It's always known him and been around him, and he told me some dreams that I helped interpret for him and understand the meaning behind. And then he went on to ask what gender, or kind of the gender of the spirit or the energy, whatever you want to call it. And I told him that I felt mostly masculine energies. And he said, oh, how weird, I've always thought she was a girl. And I said, yes, there is some feminine energy too. Spirits don't really conform to a specific gender. It's all very fluid in the spirit world, so it's hard to explain. I like to use feminine and masculine energy. That's the easiest way for me to comprehend it. Anyways, so he told me that he always thought it was a female energy, and I said, oh yeah, there is one female attachment, and she's the one who's the strongest. And he asked me if I could see her, and kind of testing me, and I kept looking behind him, and if I look long enough somewhere, then I will be able to see something. So I usually, if you talk to me in person, I can't look at one spot for too long, and my eyes are always darting, and I'm trying not to see anything pretty much, and that sounds scary when I tell people, but I usually don't see things for that reason. But my eyes were darting around. I was trying not to look too intensely behind him because I knew I would see her, especially since he was asking me to look for her. But he asked again, and so I tried, and I closed my eyes, and I could fully see her, and that's something that hasn't happened to me before, at least not something that is that dark. It still scares me to this day a little bit. I've never seen anything that scary. So I closed my eyes, and I saw the demon from The Nun. I don't know if you've seen The Nun or The Conjuring, but she looked like that. She wasn't a nun or anything. She just looked like that in the face and in the body, and like long nails. And I saw big teeth and fangs, and so basically like the nun demon with huge, scary teeth. And I told him that, and he began to panic a bit and said that frequently when he goes to sleep, he hears ASMR, scary ASMR teeth noises by his ear as he's falling asleep, which is petrifying and something that I haven't experienced before, and I know that's not normal, so I was very scared on his behalf, but at the same time proud of him for telling me all this. So I was trying to keep calm, not sketch him out, just trying to keep the vibes up, because I was terrified. I just didn't want him to know that. So as he was divulging more to me, I was shaking a bit and crying because I could still see her every time I closed my eyes. It was just ingrained in my head. But I was trying not to let him know, but he was panicking while I was trying to keep cool, and I was internally panicking while he was panicking as well, and it was just a big mess. So then I was like, let's talk about something else, and we moved on for the time being at least, and we were able to put it out of our head for the night at least and go to sleep for around 5 hours, and then I had to leave because he had to do some stuff with his friends that day. So I left, went home, tried not to think about it, told myself, you don't need that guy. You had a good time, but you don't need that. This is not what you need right now. And I was still making myself very available to him because I wanted to help him. I just didn't want to force it too much, So I went home. I was feeling very depressed and just drained and disgusted and all these negative emotions. It's just hard to even verbalize it because I was feeling all of these negative emotions at once, like guilt, shame, disgust, fear, like anxieties, depression. Couldn't leave my bed, couldn't do anything. And I was so happy previously, and I do personally struggle with depression and anxiety, but it was not like that. It just hit me like a truck out of nowhere. I even had plans to go on a trip that day with my friends, but they bailed, and I was still going to take myself, but for whatever reason, I just could not find the strength to get out of bed and do it. So I let him know, hey, I've just been feeling super weird. Every time I close my eyes, I can still see her, which was true and terrifying, and I felt like I could see something out of the corner of my eye, and I was just getting very paranoid. I couldn't tell if it was real or not, or if I was just sketched out after that, and I tried to convince myself that I was fine after being away from him, but it just wasn't true. And so one part that really scared me is that my cat was up on my windowsill. She was looking out the window, and I had the window open, and she's very agile. She doesn't fall off of things hardly ever. I genuinely don't think I've seen her fall off of something. Maybe she kind of slipped off a tree one time when she was trying to climb up it. But, like, she doesn't just fall off of something if she's sitting on it. That's what I'm trying to say. And this could have been the biggest coincidence in the world, I swear. But I just felt the need to cleanse my room intuitively, so I took my incense, and I do this thing where I make a pentacle with my incense and then put the circle around the pentacle, and that's for a sign of protection. And as I was completing the pentacle and finishing the circle around it, like as I was just finishing it, my cat fell down from my windowsill, and that could have been the biggest coincidence ever, but I think that it really signaled that there was a strong attachment to me, along with all the darkness I was feeling. It felt as though that same energy was with me then, especially that I have such a gift of intuition. I knew that internally. I just needed some solid evidence, I guess, and that's what that provided. So that scared me because I had never seen a dark attachment attack something close to me. I've never had anything attack my family or my animals while I'm trying to protect myself, and I was provoking something and making something angry. So I had to let him know, and he already knew I was feeling lots of darkness and he was feeling bad and wanted to do this protection healing thing with me that I recommended. And then I let him know it was a little more urgent. I couldn't live my life this way, not for more than a few days. And luckily, he obliged, and we got together quickly and did this thing that helped seal protection. But I let him know that it's very important to take care of yourself spiritually, mentally, physically after something like this, because you don't know what this attachment's done. You don't know if it's been attached long enough to kind of possess you in some ways or make you just live your life differently. And that's a very vulnerable position to be in. It's terrifying to be in that position, so you have to take care of yourself afterwards. And me, myself, I had to do things to take care of myself afterwards, and I can't even imagine how it felt for him. So we did this thing to protect him, and then I gave him just an array of things to do afterwards to help heal himself and make sure that no other attachments attach themselves during this vulnerable time, like I said. And I gave him prayers, meditation, yoga poses. I gave him incenses because he is Native American, so I felt fine providing him with that. I gave him amethyst and obsidian to help with protection and depression. I gave him a little statue that I charged with my energy. I gave him this big black candle to light and meditate over and have the intention of protection of. Just simple, basic things that he could get no bad karma from and could very much benefit him and cleanse his home so that his home is protected while he was around, because I was worried about his family. He stays with like 4 females, so I was worried for their safety as well. Females are just innately more intuitive and empathetic for whatever reason. But I digress again. He was not for it. We did that ritual, I guess you could call it, and he felt as though that was enough, and I very much expressed that it wasn't, and I knew that he wasn't following any of the advice that I gave him afterwards. Maybe he followed 1 or 2 things on the list, but it was definitely a one-off thing for him, and he felt as though he didn't need to follow my directions. And I definitely know what I'm talking about in the sense of the spirit world and knowing how to do things safely. So I just wanted him to take care of himself, because these dark attachments can affect us our whole lives and we don't even know. So he just fell off, which was very sad, and I can kind of empathize and see that the spirituality stuff is scary and you don't want to participate anymore, especially if you are dealing with something so heavy, because this is terrifying. I don't wish it on my worst enemy, but I think it was very selfish, and a week or 2 passed. I'd say 2 weeks passed, and I told him, hey, I know that you didn't do any of the things that I told you to, and he somewhat admitted to it, and I asked him, hey, can I just have my stuff back if you're not going to put it to use? Lots of those things were important to me. My amethyst was expensive. I got it hand engraved and whatnot, and it was very valuable to me. It has sentimental value, and that's also why I gave it to him. I felt that the belief behind it, in my eyes, made it more powerful, but I don't know if that's true. But anyways, he couldn't do that, and he couldn't accommodate me or help me, and so I was getting frustrated and trying to be as nice as possible, and just, like, he couldn't help and give me back my stuff, and, like, even just leave it out on the porch, which was annoying, super annoying. So I had to leave him a message and say, hey, I don't think I can serve you any longer. This is just getting too stressful for me. This isn't the person that I am. I'm not someone who wants any stress or negativity in my life, which is what you're providing right now. And also, boundaries have been crossed in the past, so I can't serve you anymore, unfortunately. And I am sending you blessings for you and your family, and I wish you all well. And that's that. He's left me undelivered for a long time. So, yeah, let's all send good vibes and hope that he's doing well, and hope that he doesn't have any more dark attachments, because that stuff is scary. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that the vibes weren't too low and that it wasn't too traumatizing. It's still scary for me to think about, because I have a deeper attachment to the spirit world and can see things, and that causes fear and makes these things just a lot more real and scary. So, yeah, keep yourself safe. Don't mess with stuff that you don't know how to mess with. I think that's the moral of this story, and it was a little grim, but I hope it was entertaining. And yeah, let me know what you think. I have other ones that are a little more juicy, a little more like ghost seeing, like ghosty apparitions. This was more, I don't know, mental. It affected this guy's entire life, and probably still is affecting him to this day, and he's still dealing with it and has had this dark cloud over him his whole life. And all I can do is wish him well, and I wish you all well. And my messages and comments are always open. Everything's always open for any spiritual advice. If you find that you yourself are dealing with something in this realm that is scary and harmful to your life, because I personally believe these dark attachments can have negative impacts that are beyond our comprehension. So yeah, stay safe. Stay safe. Have a good one. Peace.